Bruchim Habaim, welcome friends. I'm here studying in a text from the Baal Hasulam, Sha'ar HaKavanot, the Gate of Intentions, and I came across something that I thought was another amazing find, something that really caught my eye. And so it's discussing a deep concept here, pretty deep, but I'm going to break it down the best I can and share my thoughts. And so, what we're discussing here is how Malchut descends to be the Rosh to the foxes, the upper Gufim clothe below. So, immediately, foxes struck my curiosity, and I wanted to understand this a bit more. So, let me just read the Pasuk 60 here. At the top highlight here, it says, Afterward there are the worlds of Beria, Yetzirah, and Asiyah, and they are the Levushim of Atzilut. It is in this manner, because when Malchut descends to be the Rosh to the foxes, the upper Gufim clothe below. And it says, Ohr Pashut, when Malchut descends to be the Rosh to the foxes, the upper Gufim clothe below. This was done during the diminution of the moon of the fourth day of the days of creation. First zone were in the form of the two great lights on an equal level back to back. At that time, the Nukva was a complete Partzuf in the 10 Sefirot of Achor, which is the posterior, the back, and that is, she was complete in Ibur-Yenika-Mochin de Achor, and which is all the completeness of Partzuf VAK. And when the moon complained and said, two kings cannot use the same Keter, the crown, she was told, go and diminish yourself. At the time, she returned to being a dot under the Yesod as before. And all 10 Sefirot of her Partzuf de Achor descended to Beria as Rosh to the foxes, since she became discerned as Atik and a revealed Rosh in Beria. So, first of all, what is the meaning of foxes? This is what I immediately wanted to know. And in Kabbalah, this is a metaphor for the lower spiritual worlds, primarily Beria, Yetzirah, and Asiyah, and particularly the external or less rectified aspects of those worlds. So, let me try to break this down. So foxes are lesser external or fallen aspects of spiritual worlds compared to the high holiness and direct divine light of Atzilut. And Rosh, which it means head, to the foxes, is Malchut of Atzilut descending to govern or influence these lower aspects. Now, the Talmud and Zohar use the image of a fox often to describe cunning, emptiness, or something that appears great, but is hollow inside. In the Tanakh, in Lamentations 5:18, after the destruction of the temple, it says, for Mount Zion, which lies desolate, foxes prowl upon it. The fox here symbolizes a lower, impure force replacing what was once pure and holy. So in Kabbalah, when it says Malchut becomes Rosh to the foxes, it means the divine presence, Malchut, lowers itself from its exalted state in Atzilut to become a guiding force even in the lower, more broken or impure spiritual realms. And when Malchut descends to be the Rosh to the foxes, the upper Gufim clothe below. Malchut, the lowest Sefirah of Atzilut, descends into the worlds of Beria, Yetzirah, and Asiyah, which are reflected to as foxes. There, it guides and governs, acting as their Rosh, head. And the descent enables the upper spiritual structures, Gufim, to clothe and manifest within the lower worlds. And so, reading and studying all of this, again, foxes, like I said, struck my curiosity, and it reminded me of a verse in the Brit Hadashah, actually in Matthew 8:20 and Luke 9:58, where our master says, foxes have holes and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. Now, I begin to think about this, and what's interesting is this could be actually connecting with a much deeper level than the Pashut, where, as I was explaining, foxes are a lower external or corrupted levels of reality, which like Beria, Yetzirah, Nasiya, or even spiritual exile. And holes, their own dwelling places, stable in their limited fallen states. And birds often are symbolic of higher consciousness or spiritual forces, like the air, Ruach, yet also remain in their fixed nests. So, Yeshua, as the Son of Man, an archetype of the Redeemer or divine presence, the Shekinah, and his lack of place to lay his head, the exile of the divine presence, which the sages say when Israel is in exile, so is the Shekinah, so is Mashiach. And he's unable to find rest either below the foxes or holes or above birds and nests because the world is not yet rectified. And this is compared to Malchut descending into the lower worlds, but without a proper vessel or home to dwell in. In the Zohar, the imagery in the Zohar, the Shekinah in exile, the Zohar often mentions this as wandering, homeless, and without a resting place, especially when the temple is destroyed or in Israel's in exile. And so the foxes roaming in Zion and Lamentations 5:18 are used in the Zohar to express this tragedy. The Shekinah in a broken world cannot find a vessel, a head to rest upon. The Son of Man is compared to the Shekinah or Malchut, who cannot rest in a world dominated by foxes, which are fallen lower forces, or birds, limited upper forms, a world out of balance. And so Yeshua's teachings often align with Chokhmah style wisdom and Merkavah mysticism. And this really could be a connection. The world, even at a spiritual heights or depths, is not ready to host the full presence of the divine. Until there is tikkun, rectification, the divine light of Son of Man has no home, no place to lay his head, no place to rest within a rectified vessel. So the exile of the divine presence, the absence of the suitable vessel for the light, and the yearning for a world of true rectification where the divine can finally dwell. And this is the connection that really made sense to me. I think it's absolutely amazing. Of course, like I always say, I want to share. I love to share my findings. I hope you enjoyed this deeper concept of the foxes have holes.